After more than a decade of exhausting myself, trying to heal myself on my own, spending endless time, energy, and money on therapists, books, meditation, exercise, physical therapy, nutrition, and more, all the healers you can imagine. I kept ending up right back where I started. At least that's what it felt like. Every breakthrough was followed by another setback. And I was feeling like I was constantly stuck in survival mode, no matter what kind of self-care and what kind of support I engaged in. And if for those who know me at all, you know I'm stubborn as hell. And I simply refused to accept that there wasn't another way, a better way, a more sustainable pathway to healing. Hello, let me introduce myself. I'm Michelle Clinard. I'm a self-healing coach and I'm a self-care expert, specifically for somatic self-care. And I've been in this work for more than a decade, about almost 15 years. But I've been a self-healer for pretty much my whole life, my whole adult life, even back into my teenage years. I help people, self-healers like you, create sustainable, effective self-care routines through somatic healing and somatic self-care. I offer a whole self approach to healing and self-care. Um, and what I learned the hard way on my own personal journey is that healing alone was not only exhausting, it was nearly impossible. It literally left me in a continuous loop of never ending healing, never creating the healing, never experiencing it, never ever getting to take a rest from the effort. And for years, I carried the burden of responsibility entirely on my own to heal myself because, well, let's face it, I got caught up in the notion that it was my responsibility to heal. And while that's not entirely wrong, it is my responsibility and it's my choice. It's each person's responsibility and choice to heal themselves or whether they want to heal or will actively engage in the healing process. But I was really bearing the burden of responsibility for all the healing on my own and wasn't finding supportive resources beyond one-on-one and or doing it on my own. My mental and emotional health were really suffering. My physical health started to rapidly decline, and I just wasn't able to get the help I needed from doctors, from medicine, from therapists, from lab tests, from any of the healing modalities that I tried. Um, there were no answers to find at a physical level. So I went looking in at the emotional and spiritual levels, and I did find answers there, but I was still constantly managing symptoms with energy healing and spiritual support, and even with emotional healing therapies. Um, I still found that each bit of progress I made was followed by a setback, and it just was so frustrating to me. Um, I would get maybe a few days or even a couple weeks of relief from my symptoms, and then I would slide right back into them. It felt like resetting to zero in terms of progress, constantly on repeat. And all of my efforts were exhausting my personal resources, and they just weren't sustainable. Like I was putting so much time and energy into searching and finding different approaches, different modalities, different techniques, different potential resources. But then I also had to try them out. I had to pay for them a lot of times, and it was exhausting me financially as well. Um, I just eventually got stubbornly sick and tired of constantly having to survive when I just desperately wanted to stop being stuck in survival mode and being sick and uncomfortable and to start living and thriving. I did have a huge breakthrough in my healing journey. And this is actually years after I started helping clients by offering healing sessions in the modalities that I'm trained in. Um, I put aside some of my subconscious limiting beliefs that were driving me to do this on my own, and I sought out something different. Not another modality or a healing session, but instead a community of people like me. They were healers on their own healing journey, who were supporting others with healing sessions, but were also committed to their own healing journey and to supporting one another regularly. So we met, weekly for a while, monthly for a while. Um, but within a month of consistently weekly being part of this healing community, this collaborative healing community, the first thing, the burden of responsibility for doing it on my own really lifted. And I shifted my awareness out of that, I have to do it on my own. It's my responsibility. And it kind of gave me a little insight that thinking we have to do it on our own when it comes to healing and self-care, well, it comes a little bit from cultural conditioning of independence, hyper-independence, doing things on our own, not having that cohesive community culture. Um, but it also it's connected to our trauma patterns because a lot of times survival patterns are our knee-jerk reaction is to isolate, to survive. And survival is associated with isolation, with doing it on our own, only relying on ourselves because we can't rely on others. And those patterns were held in my subconscious, and I was able to become aware of them and overcome them in a healing community. Um, Doing so enabled me to connect and be supported in community, community care, which is self-care in community form, as well as healing support in community form, absolutely shifted the state of my nervous system through co-regulation. And I just wasn't alone in the effort anymore. So that burden of responsibility felt lighter. It didn't feel so heavy and exhausting. When we come together to healing community, we mirror each other, our pain, our breakthroughs, our awareness, our all of these things really kind of come together, and it opens all the doors and windows to the potential for more healing, deeper level of healing that we can't access in our subconscious on our own. Because we see ourselves in others, we observe others, we are observed, all of those things all contribute to the outcome, and the outcome is intensified. It's expanded in community. So there's science that backs this. And why this works is that human beings are literally designed for healing and community. We're social beings. We are wired in our nervous system and our bodies and our brains. Even if you don't like people or being social or being social isn't comfortable, our nervous systems are still wired to be less dysregulated, overwhelmed, and stressed when we are in a healing supportive community. And community support is really different from friend or family support. It's even different from one-on-one therapy or other healing support. It's more focused, it's more intentional, and it's more transformative. And it's definitely more sustainable and accessible. So that's important too. So this revelation I had along the way that while healing is my responsibility, I don't have to do it on my own. Like I don't have to bear the burden of responsibility to source all the resources and the information and the support. Um, I can actually share that responsibility in a community. It didn't just, I guess it was also the revelation of how much it impacted my healing outcomes and that it was all more sustainable. And I was feeling like I was making progress and having fewer setbacks. And when I did have setbacks, they were absolutely, I was recovering faster, bouncing back, not feeling like I was resetting to square one, but that it was just veering off and then veering back onto the path. So that revelation, the impact of community on healing and how healing in community, self-care in community is so much more impactful and more sustainable and accessible. It shifted the way I wanted to show up for myself, but it also shifted the way I wanted to show up for others. So now I focus more on community-based healing and self-care support. And I've literally seen the same results with countless clients that I've experienced on my own. And I discovered something about community support in this process too, like beyond just healing in community. Um, I it Seeing how much healing in community shifted me into better outcomes, more sustainable outcomes, and greater uh, experience of my healing in general, like more awareness of it and lasting results from it. It brought into my awareness that I also needed other kinds of community support. I needed business support, but I had been looking for one-on-one support and unsuccessfully finding something that was a good fit for me financially and otherwise. I tried a few one-on-one business support, and it's not what I needed. It didn't sustain me. It didn't help in the ways that I needed, and it was certainly a kind of a drain on my resources. Um, I didn't feel like that kind of one-on-one business support was really helping me reduce the amount of things to do and pressure. Like it kind of added to it a little bit. Like suddenly I have to figure all these things out on my own to work one-on-one. Um, so it just felt like a bunch of individuals focusing on individuals, no cohesive community element. I wasn't finding that until I found the Create the Rules Catalyst, which is a business supportive community. And that's run by Marisa. And Marisa is an amazing, she's just a brilliant with business. She's so creative. She never ceases to amaze me. But I went into the Catalyst community for some business support. All right. I wanted to take the burden of responsibility off of me in terms of the back end of my business. And joining this community has done that. I get help with things that I'm struggling to get done, or when I have too much to do, I get actual help virtually, and it really takes the pressure off of having to do all the businessy things, especially the back end. So I have more time up front to offer the services that I provide and help others in their healing journey. And even though this is a business supportive community, when we come together in community, healing happens. Having a seat at the virtual table with these remarkable business owners and with Marisa, um, who's hosting and offering this community to support businesses. Having a seat at that table, I'm not just getting the back end business support that I really needed to kind of take some of the pressure off of me. Um, there's so much healing that happens. So healing in community happens regardless of what the purpose of the community is. All right. That's the amazing thing that I've discovered. That's my favorite thing about community and healing in community is that whenever we come together in community, healing is going to happen, even if that's not what we're coming together for. All right. Because we're coming together for a cohesive purpose, for something uh, that we all need, a collective purpose, right? And when we do that, just the act of coming together in community, the human aspect of it, the way that we're wired, our nervous systems, there is going to be an element of co-regulation, of self-awareness that expands and opens up, and of course of mirroring and observation that we see ourselves in others and vice versa. And so coming together in for business and community, I learned that that's still healing in community. And not only did I gain clarity about my business and got some help with some things that were really kind of taking up a lot of time and energy that I needed for other things, I found my voice because just having a seat at the table, I found my voice, which I thought I already had. I didn't even know that I needed to focus on healing that, but something clicked coming to the table for a period of time, and I suddenly have clarity and so much focus, and it conveys in my voice, in my words, um, and in my content. It's such a big shift. I also started showing up in my business more aligned with my vision than ever, like leaning deeper into healing and community through the insights about how business and community is also creating a level of healing and community. And so it just kind of fueled my passion for healing and community even more. Okay. So my takeaway is that coming together in community, whether it's business or anything non-healing focused, it still carries with it the power of healing because humans, that's what we do when we come together. We heal, we co-regulate, our brains and bodies are literally designed to heal and thrive when we are supported in the right communities. This is healing. Community is healing. So whether you're focused on healing, self-care, building a business, there's no difference. The right community will help you shift, grow, and heal. Money blocks, visibility fears, uh, difficulty with being seen or not feeling heard. These things all stem from past trauma and conditioning that gets patterned into our neural pathways, our DNA, our nervous system, and it gets expressed in our bodies and our minds. It plays out as limitations, as roadblocks, as issues and symptoms and obstacles that we experience on repeat. And you might experience them as physical issues or manifestations of these past patterns. You might experience them as emotional blocks or emotional discomfort or mental patterns where, your kind of inner thoughts or your inner dialogue is just repetitive and not helpful behavior. But it can also show up in your relationships, your life, your business, and coming together in community for the purpose of healing or breaking cycles or for the purpose of just thriving in your business, whatever your goal is, find the right community because that's where the magic happens. If you're exhausted from trying to self-care or heal on your own, and you want to shift out of survival mode or discomfort into something that's more healing oriented or start to thrive, I invite you to explore my self-healing support community. And if you are a healer, an artist, got a side hustle, you're an entrepreneur, if you're in marketing or any kind of business, and you're looking for done with you and done for you business support that goes deeper than just surface level strategies, check out Marisa's Create the Rules Catalyst community. You'll find links to that in the description, as well as to my self-healing support community, which is also done with you and done for you healing and self-care support. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe if this video resonates with you. And I hope you find your community, the one that helps you feel supported, seen, and ready and able to thrive. Don't forget to check out the links because maybe one of these communities that are linked in the description is your community. Go check it out and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.